Hello listeners, we have all learnt a lot about Yuva or adolescent in these times. Adolescent is an age group which has always existed. Even we have passed through adolescence. But why is it that these days there is so much mention of adolescence and there is so much talk about adolescence in the present times? Today we are going to learn about challenges faced by adolescents. Why I am saying challenges? Because we have perceived adolescents as a group of youngsters who are into some problem or are causing problems, but we have never realized what are the challenges faced by these adolescents. So, let us start challenges faced by adolescents. Now, let us first see what is adolescence. Let us see the age between 10 years to 19 years is called the age of adolescence. We call it teens also. It is a stage where transition takes place from childhood to early adulthood. Sexual maturity is attained at this stage. Puberty, that is attainment of sexual maturity and ability to reproduce, also come in the age of adolescence. Health, nutrition, genetics play a role in onset and progression of puberty. Now, what are these adolescents? They are bold, they are brash, they are lost, confused, more demanding than ever. They are westernized, but then again they are Indian at heart. The psyche of today's youth makes for an interesting study. Now, adolescent development. This development is accompanied by an increase in autonomy. They want to be known and treated as individuals. An increase in emotional distance from adults. They don't want to be questioned. They don't want to be argued with. They want whatever they say has to be accepted. If that is not done, then they like to keep distance from adults. Increase in peer friendship and its importance. Peer is the most important circle that they like to be with. Whatever their peers say, they like to do that. They want to follow that because they feel it is very important for them to be a part of that peer group. They actively seek their teachers' and parents' approval but do not like to sound childish and discuss trivial matters. You know, these adolescents, in heart of hearts, they want their teachers and parents to agree with what they want to do. But if they are told by the teachers or the parents, they dislike it. They find that they feel that they should not be treated like children. Loyalty is highly valued aspect of friendship for them, and that is why I said that peer is a very important group that they like to be a part of, they like to be associated with. Intimate friendship provides them emotional support, information and advice. You know, it is very surprising that they like to discuss everything, their personal, their academic or professional matter or domestic front, their relationships, everything with their friends, with their peer. And these days you will find most of the time these adolescents are on phone. Adolescence is a period of transition. Their status is vague and there is confusion about the roles they are expected to play. They are quite confused because they don't know whether they have to behave like adults or they have to behave like children. If they behave like children, they are told to act their age. They are told to behave like adults if they are giggly, if they want or throw tantrums like children. If they behave like adults, they are accused for being one. Now that is also questioned, that you are a child, you have not grown up, You are not adult enough to come and sit or participate in the discussion that is going on with in the adults. So, they have unrealistic aspiration as they feel that they are not, they are adults, they are quite confused. They are children, whether they are children or they are adults, they do not know, and that is why we call this a period of transition, when they are coming from childhood to adulthood. Period of transition, again, they like to look at life through rose tinted glasses, which the adults do not like. For them, for these adolescents, everything is rosy, everything is so easy, because they have not faced the hardships of life, and this behavior of these adolescents is not liked by adults. They feel angry, hurt and disappointed if let down by adults. They expect adults, now here adults I mean the teachers in the school and the parents at home. So, if the teachers in the school and parents at home do not agree with what they are saying, the liberties that they want to take, the freedom that they want, or the things that they want to do, they do not like it. They feel hurt, they feel very angry. They face heightened emotional tension due to hormonal changes. When they are passing through this transition stage, that is from childhood to adulthood, there is onset of hormones in their system, in their body. Biological changes take place, and these biological changes bring about hormonal changes, and these children who are passing through this transitional stage are unable to handle these hormonal changes. Therefore, they have very confused emotional stage, and which causes tension for them. The present scenario is the period from childhood to adulthood is almost 7 to 8 years. Prolongation of adolescence has resulted in a generation gap. You know, it is very surprising that adolescent age stage was there in earlier times also, but in the earlier times onset of adolescence was at 13 or 14 years of age, but now from around 10 years of age they start showing the symptoms of getting into the stage of adolescence. So, prolongation of adolescence has resulted in a generation gap. This youth prides itself on being different from adult culture. It tries to protest against the adult culture. They call these adolescents passing through the transition stage, they call the adults old fashioned, not living in the present times, not moving with the present times. They accuse the adults of being orthodox, not understanding, not feeling for the adolescents, and this is the root cause of the problem. Adults feel that adolescents are not understanding, they have not faced the hardship of life, and adolescents on the contrary feel that the adults are not understanding and are not marching with the changing times. Now, let us see the overview of the problems in adolescent age stage. It is a storm and stress legacy. Why I am saying storm and stress? Because they are stormed, they are bombarded with so many pressures. They are passing through physical change, emotional change, then intellectual change, spiritual change, and so many other things are happening in their body. So, all these things are kind of storm on them, and as a result of this they are facing lot of stress. Stress is on account of the academic pressure, on account of peer pressure, on account of changing societal needs, on account of their future, on account of the emotional turbulence that these adolescents face. In reality, most adolescents manage and many are resilient when coping with problems. Still, Teens and 20s are a time when various problems are more likely to occur. For example, risky automobile driving, schizophrenia. We have seen every other day we see so many accidents taking place, and in most of these cases adolescents are involved. We see schizophrenia, we see these adolescents passing through acute stages, they get into depression, and in fact these days teachers as well as the parents have to be very cautious of the emotional turbulence the adolescents face. So teens and 20s, it is 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. But as I mentioned earlier that it is not 13 that is the starting or the onset of adolescence, it has come down to 12, 11 and 10, and in fact I feel it is even lower than that, because a child of class 7 and 8 of 9 years onwards age is already showing the symptoms of entering into the stage of adolescence. Now let us see the problem behavior of these adolescents. There is violence in them, there is a trait of delinquency, substance abuse, school dropout and mental health. Violent means they become aggressive very fast. Delinquency is an act where they indulge into an offense, societal offense, which if conducted or done by an adult is punishable by law. So they show delinquent behavior, then they are prone to substance abuse because they are highly influenced by their peer, and if the peer is into substance abuse, then there is every possibility of these adolescents also getting into substance abuse. School dropout, for various reasons these adolescents drop out of the schools. The reasons could be school, could be the teaching, could be the financial pressure, emotional pressure, peer pressure or anything else. Then there is lot of mental health problem these days because of these various pressures adolescents, and because of lack of communication with the parents and with the teachers, the adolescents have a tendency of getting into mental health problems, and which we the teachers and the parents can't really see unless and until we understand the challenges faced by adolescents. Factors involved in these problems: biological factors, they are the mains because it is the time of onset of puberty. Then psychological factors are there, that is they have to manage stress, there is so much competition outside, they are all the time struggling with what next, what admission to be taken next, what course has to be taken, what studies they have to do, how they will manage the finances and the admission process, the list is endless. So these are the psychological pressures causing stress which they have to manage, and as a result they land in problems. Then there are socio-cultural factors also responsible for the problems that the adolescents are facing. These socio-cultural factors are expectations. Parents have expectations from them. Often we hear parents saying that what I have not achieved in life, I want my child to achieve that. Now these statements like a record keep playing in the minds of the adolescents. And also if the parents have struggled to arrange the finances for the studies of these children and the child is unable to do as well as expected, it kind of generates lot of tension in the mind of the child. So expectations of the parents, expectations of the teachers, expectations of their peer and their own expectations from themselves are responsible for creating problems. Then gender role, peer pressures, even neighborhood. There is competition with the neighborhoods because parents often say that, see, so and so's child has done so well, I want you also to do as well, without realizing and understanding that each child, each adolescent is different. Now biological challenges. Challenge number 1, biological development, eating disorder. They are engaged in unhealthy dieting, they get into dieting, and they do not understand, in order to maintain a perfect figure, they do not understand the health hazards this dieting disorder causes. Nutrition, they do not eat recommended servings because they want to look good and they don't want to look obese. Overweight, overweight is a major cause because of various reasons, maybe because of security, because of non availability of time. They are not able to indulge or partake in physical activity, and as a result many of them tend to be overweight. Then challenge 2 is cognitive challenge, cognitive development. They are mentally developing, so they argue for the sake of arguing. They always want to win a point over the adults, so they will argue like anything to convey it to the adults that they know as much, if not more, than the adults. They are highly self-centered. I, me and myself is what they believe. They constantly find faults in adult positions. That is why we say it is a transition stage, because as they turn adults, they start understanding and behaving. So this phase passes. They are overly dramatic. They want to show off. They want to ensure that whatever they are saying, doing, others are watching them. They want to therefore dramatize overtly. Now cognitive development, from 10 to 19 years they develop cognitively, and that means they learn the ability to think abstractly, they learn the ability to analyze situations logically, they learn the ability to think realistically about the future, goal setting and many other things. It is so surprising that in these times an adolescent is already well versed and well aware of what is available in terms of degrees, in terms of knowledge, in terms of jobs, as compared to what information we have at their age. Moral reasoning also, they will not accept things without reasoning it out. Unless and until they are convinced, they will not accept any moral statement, and they need guidance for rational decision making. Challenge 3 is socio-emotional development. They often have this question, who am I? Where do I belong? They have identity crisis, identity development, gender, sexual and ethnic. They want to look like someone, they want to copy someone, but they also have very high self-esteem. They are a role model for their peer. They want to be a part of the peer, they want to belong to a group, a peer group, and they want to be identified as an important member of that peer. How do I relate to others? This is also a challenge in front of them, and this is a socio-emotional challenge. So this challenge revolves around the social skills that they learn or adopt. This challenge revolves around the emotional intelligence also. Let us see the environmental settings that these adolescents have. Youth or adolescent, school, they are governed by all these factors, or they are influenced by these factors. School is their community, then media, they are highly influenced by media and internet. Neighborhood, what kind of neighborhood is there? The family that they belong to, and above all is the peer that they want to be a part with, and which is so very important for them, which is a big challenge. Social relationship. Now let us see the social relationship. Parent-child relationship is usually positive, may have some period of friction, but fortunately the Indian youth still has lot of love and affection and a special place for the family in their heart. Peer becomes increasingly important for them because they rely a lot on the information provided by the peer, and they want to be an integral part of the peer, and they want to do everything that the peer does. Peer influence may not be as bad as most people think. Adolescents tend to have friends of similar age, race, social class and with same religious belief. They want to be identified with that peer group. And that is why we say that it is important for we as teachers and parents to ensure the kind of company the adolescent has, because that company or that peer group is going to influence the behavior and the psyche of the adolescent. Now, relationship of adolescents with their parents, conflict is more likely to occur between parents and adolescents. I would say more than conflict, it is difference of opinion. During adolescence, boys appear to develop more power. Boys can become physically stronger and more aggressive with both parents, which decreases parental power. I would like to re-emphasize here that Indian youth, even though he or she may become aggressive, still has tremendous respect for the parents and teachers in their heart. Evidence shows that despite the stereotype, a vast majority of adolescents love and appreciate their parents despite minor conflict. They may agree to disagree or disagree to agree, but the situation is always win-win at the end. Now, parenting style, let us see how the parenting style is there and how it affects the adolescents. Authoritarian, when the parenting style is authoritarian, then it is values, obedience and they use high degree of power assertion, which means I am right and you have to do what I am telling you because I am your parent. Second is authoritative style, that is less concerned with obedience, greater use of induction. The third is permissive style, which is most tolerant. I personally feel that this is the most accepted style of parenting, where parents are most tolerant, least likely to use discipline. In fact, here they use communication as a very important tool in understanding the problems the child or the adolescent is facing. Now, when I say communication, which means on an issue, the parents like to, in this style, that is permissive style, on an issue, the parents like to sit with the child across the table. If the adolescent is able to convince the parent, then they agree with the parent, but then if the adolescent is able to convince the parent, then the parents agree with the adolescent, and if vice versa, then it is the parent who has to agree with the child. So, therefore, permissive style means it is win-win situation with a proper dialogue. And the last is neglectful style, that is completely uninvolved, when the parents just leave the adolescents to their own and allow them to do and decide what they want. I personally feel that this style is not a very healthy style, just as authoritarian style is also not very healthy style of parenting. Then healthy teachers adolescent relationship. Teachers have to set standards and rules to keep their students out of trouble. Teachers should protect their students during traumatic experiences but avoid over guidance in coping with normal problems. Now, teachers will be able to help the students in traumatic times or passing through traumatic experiences only if they have been able to establish that kind of relationship with their students, when the student treats the teacher like a friend also and confides in him or her whenever in a dire need or a difficult situation. Strike a balance between permitting adolescents to explore and maintain their independence while still protecting them and setting limits. It is a very tricky balance, how much to let go and how much to check. So, I suppose an experienced and emotionally intelligent teacher and parent is able to maintain the balance. Now, popularity, the characteristics of popular adolescents. Popular adolescents have the ability to meet the needs of others. They are confident, they are cheerful, they are friendly, humorous, enthusiastic, and ready to experiment. And criteria for popularity: for boys, it is athletics, they like to win over others through athletics. Being in the leading crowd, they like to be a leader in activities with high grades, and they like coming from the right family. For girls, having a boyfriend, being in the leading crowd, being a leader, good looks, and intelligence. Now, rejection, these are the traits when adolescents feel rejected. If we see these traits, we must act at once. These characteristics are: they are shy and timid, which means they are feeling rejected. Their behavior is aggressive, again they are feeling rejection. They are egoistic, through their ego they want to show their supremacy, but actually within they are feeling rejected. Bullying is yet another trait which indicates rejection in adolescents. And teachers' pet, well, again rejection, and if they are unhygienic, well, that is also termed to be a trait of rejection. Results of rejection: adolescents who are not as popular tend to, which means they feel rejected, tend to have low self-esteem, they do poorly in school, they are drop out of schools, they become involved in delinquent behavior, a behavior which is socially unacceptable, a behavior which, or an act of that behavior which, if conducted by an adult, is punishable by law. These rejected adolescents, they indulge in delinquent behavior, they fall into bad company because they get lot of satisfaction in that company, and often they get into depression also. So, forming a group, adolescents make friends based on set criteria, that is, they use teen slang, the language that they use is slang. Girls maintaining a nice girl image and boys need to have a macho image. They like dating, then they have status and material objects. They love partying and drinking. And adolescents' way of spending time, very interesting. Adolescents remain engaged in various activities through the day. Common activities include hanging out with friends, talking on the telephone, participating in clubs, etc. And girls like to participate in interpersonal activities such as talking, while boys take part more in individualized activities. Now, this is the percentage of time that they like to spend: 15% with adults, 23% in the school, and 29% in leisure time. Leisure time activities include socializing, maintenance, and productive homework. And why this happens? Because these young people undergo revolutionary changes. They suddenly are trying to catch up with adults in physical size and strength, and they are oozing with enthusiasm. Their joy is irrepressible and their sadness is inconsolable. They are gregarious, they are self-centered and prominent, they are curious and they are bored, their appetite is insatiable, they are confident, they have self-doubt, they maintain to be a part of peer group. And how to handle adolescents? The most important is patience. You have to sometimes agree with them, sometimes disagree with them, but communication plays a very important role. You have to be firm and polite with them, and if their demands have to be rejected, they must be convinced why parents and teachers are not agreeing with what they are saying. And to handle adolescents, we have to win their confidence. We have to accept that certain things that they do are a part of their growing up. We have to guide them like watchful gardeners. We have to pay a lot of attention to them and love them and nurture them. We have to show concern for their anxieties. We have to identify their thrust areas. We have to show and observe their academic results and performance, and we have to focus on their cultural environment. We have to also ensure that we are patient with them, we are flexible, we are sensitive, and we are helping them to take right decision. We are not to ridicule them at all. We have to show lot of respect towards their feelings, and above all we must trust them. We have to be supportive, we have to encourage their peer intervention, we have to be very pleasant with them in the class, and we have to help that they are effective listeners. Their relationships, we have to create trusting relationships with the students, and our own behavior towards them is to be model behavior. And above all, I would like to conclude by saying that it is a beautiful phase, just full of too many surprises in terms of physical and emotional growth and development. We must wear the crown of authority in our hearts and not on our heads while dealing with adolescents. Thank you.